Good day, this is Professor Will, CBMD, PhD. Today is Sunday, July 22nd, 2018. It is 7:52, 32 seconds, a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maclaurin series, the power series in x for a function f of x. Magnitude of a vector, norm of a vector, the length of a vector. Main diagonal of a matrix, the elements of a matrix starting in the upper left corner and proceeding down and to the right. Major arc, the longer of the two arcs between 2 points on a circle. Major axis of an ellipse, the line passing through the foci, center, and vertices of an ellipse. It is also the principal axis of symmetry. Major axis of a hyperbola, the line passing through the foci, center, and vertices of a hyperbola. It is also the principal axis of symmetry. Major diameter of an ellipse, the segment joining the vertices of an ellipse, or the length of that segment. The major diameter passes through the center and foci. It is an ellipse's longest diameter. Model, mathematical model, an equation or system of equations representing real-world phenomena. Models also represent patterns, found in graphs, and or data. Usually models are not exact matches the objects or behavior they represent. A good model should capture the essential character of whatever is being modeled. Matrix, a rectangular or square array of numbers. Matrices can be written using brackets or parentheses. Element of a matrix, one of the entries in a matrix. The address of an element is given by listing the row number, then the column number. Inverse of a matrix, matrix inverse, multiplicative inverse of a matrix. For a square matrix, A, the inverse is written a to the power of negative 1. When A is multiplied by a to the power of negative 1, the result is the identity matrix. I, non-square matrices do not have inverses. Note, not all square matrices have inverses. A square matrix which has an inverse is called invertible or non-singular. And a square matrix without an inverse is called non-invertible or singular. Cofactor matrix, matrix of cofactors, a matrix with elements that are the cofactors term by term of a given square matrix. Maximize, to find the largest possible value. Maximum of a function, either a relative local maximum or an absolute global maximum. Mean, another word for average. Mean almost always refers to arithmetic mean in certain contexts. However, it could refer to the geometric mean, harmonic mean, or root mean squared. Expected value, mean of a random variable. A quantity equal to the average result of an experiment after a large number of trials. For example, if a fair six-sided die is rolled, the expected value of the number rolled is 3.5. This is the correct interpretation even though it is impossible to roll a 3.5 on a six-sided die. This sort of thing often occurs with expected values. Mean value theorem, a major theorem of calculus that relates values of a function to a function of its derivative. Essentially, the theorem states that for a nice function, this is a tangent line parallel to any secant line. Mean value theorem for integrals, a variation of a mean value theorem which guarantees that a continuous function has at least one point where the function equals the average value of the function. Measure of an angle, the size of an angle. Angles are measured in degrees or radians. Measurement, the process of assigning a number to a physical property. Examples of measurement include length, size of an angle, area, volume, mass, time, etc. Median of a set of numbers. The median of a set of numbers is the value for which half the numbers are larger and half are smaller. If there are two middle numbers, the median is the arithmetic mean of the two middle numbers. Note, the median is a good choice to represent the center of a distribution when the distribution is skewed or has outliers. Median of a trapezoid, a line segment connecting the midpoints of the legs of a trapezoid. The median is parallel to the bases. Note, its length equals the arithmetic mean of the lengths of the bases. Median of a triangle, a line segment drawn from one vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Note, the three medians of a triangle are concurrent, intersecting at a centroid. Member of an equation, side of an equation. The two expressions are on either side of an equation. For example, in the equation 2x plus 3 equals 5x squared, the members are the expressions 2x plus 3 and 5x squared. Mendelaw's theorem, theorem of Mendelaw's, a theorem relating the way two sylvians of a triangle divide each other and two of the triangle sides. Mensuration, measurement of geometric figures, includes length, angle, measure, area, volume. Of a partition, norm of a partition, the width of the largest subinterval in a partition. Midpoint, the point halfway between two given points. Extreme value theorem, min-max theorem, the theorem which guarantees the existence of an absolute max and an absolute min for any continuous function over a closed interval. Minimize, to find the smallest possible value. Minimum of a function, either relative local minimum or an absolute global minimum. Minor arc, the shorter of the two arcs between 2 points on a circle. Minor axis of an ellipse, a line through the center of an ellipse which is perpendicular to the major axis. The minor axis is the axis of symmetry. Minor axis of a hyperbola, a line through the center of a hyperbola which is perpendicular to the major axis. The minor axis is an axis of symmetry. Minor diameter of an ellipse, the segment through the center of an ellipse perpendicular to the major diameter, or the length of that segment. The minor diameter is the shortest diameter of an ellipse. Minute, a unit of angle measure equal to 1/60 of a degree. There are 60 minutes in 1 degree. Minutes are indicated using the transpose symbol, so 12 degrees, 45 transpose means 12 degrees and 45 minutes, or 12.75 degrees. Mixed number, a number written as a sum of an integer and a proper fraction. For example, 5 3/4 is a mixed number. 5 3/4 is the sum of 5 plus 3/4. Note, in math courses beyond algebra, so-called improper fractions are usually preferred to mixed numbers. Mobius strip on one-sided surface. A model of a Mobius strip model can be made by taking a strip of paper and taping the two ends together with half turn in the middle. Note, in addition to having only one face, a Mobius strip also only has one edge. Mode, the number that occurs the most often in a list. Example, 5 is the mode of 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5 decimal. Box plot, modified box plot, a data display that shows a 5-number summary. Modular arithmetic, regular addition, subtraction, multiplication, but with the answer given modulo n. Modular equivalence, two integers are equivalent mode n if they leave the same remainder when divided by n. For example, 5 and 17 are equivalent mode 4 since they both have remainder 1. When divided by 4, we write 5 triple line 17 mode 4. Modulo n modular numbers. The value of an integer modulo n is equal to the remainder left when the number is divided by n. Modulo n is usually written mode n. Absolute value of a complex number, modulus of a complex number, the distance between a complex number and the origin on the complex plane. Moment, a number indicating the degree to which a figure tends to balance on a given line axis. A moment of 0 indicates perfect balance, and a large moment indicates a strong tendency to tip over. Monomial, a polynomial with one term. The following are all monomials. 5x cubed, 8, and 4xy. Multiplication rule, a method for finding the probability that both of two events occur. Multiplicative property of equality, the formal name for the property of equality that allows one to multiply the same quantity by both sides of an equation. This, along with the additive property of equality, is one of the most commonly used properties for solving equations. Multiplicity, how many times a particular number is 0 for a given polynomial. Multivariable, multivariate, an adjective describing any problem that uses more than one variable. Multivariable calculus, multivariable analysis, vector calculus, the use of calculus limits, derivatives, and integrals, but two or more independent variables or two or more dependent variables. This can be thought of as the calculus of three-dimensional figures. Common elements of multivariable calculus include parametric equations, vectors, partial derivatives, multiple integrals, line integrals, and surface integrals. Mutually exclusive disjoint events, events that have no outcomes in common.